Hey CIV Pod, thanks for tuning in. We're so glad that you're watching. And if you guys don't already know, we have other episodes, so don't forget to check those out. So we're just going to jump right in here. As you guys can see, we have different faces here today. I have Daniel here who's helping me join to introduce our wonderful CIV people.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome to the CIV Pod. Yeah, as you can see,
I don't have a voice again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm not Ryan. I'm Daniel. Some of you may know me from the last podcast and elsewhere. So I'll be helping hosting today. I just want to welcome our guests, Mel and Josh. They're joining us today for the podcast, and we're going to talk about their faith journey, where they serve in the church, and how they do it and why they do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so why don't you guys, we know your names now, but introduce yourself and what you guys do here at CIV.
I can go first. I'm Josh. I am part of the First Impressions leadership team. Mel and I are the leaders on that. We also serve on the worship team, and sometimes I get into the cafe, not as often as Mel, but we're serving in various places in the church.
Yep. So like he said, I'm Melanie. I'm his wife, and we serve together.
Nice. Yeah, so for those of you out there who don't know, why don't you guys let us know what First Impressions team is about? What does that look like here at CIV?
So the First Impressions team is all about people who've not been to CIV before, and it's that first impression that we make when people come to our church. So our goals are to be warm and welcoming. We want to make people feel comfortable right away, and we want to be able to make a connection with them and also potentially provide a connection with somebody else that's even not a part of our team.
And it's a whole experience, I think, as well, from the time that person steps into the door to the time that they actually leave.
Right. Yeah.
We want to make sure that they're welcomed, not just new people, but just people that walk into the church. That's our goal, is to make everyone just feel welcomed and part of the community that's Church in the Valley.
Yeah, no, and I think that's so important, like especially in a church like this big too, like the literally first impressions is what sets the tone when you first walk through the door. And like when you walk through the door and you see people who are like so friendly and kind, like it just sets the tone and like the mood for everything. So yeah, so grateful for you guys, what you guys do here. But yeah, why don't we jump into the whole faith journey story? So tell us, what brought you here to this couch? Yeah.
The long version.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Well, can I tie in a little bit of first impression?
Of course,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
yes.
cool.
It's a free space.
So Joshua and I have been serving at CIV for a long time, but we took over leadership of First Impression, January of 2023.
Yeah.
And Pastor Nim had asked if we could meet to just discuss some plans for the church and stuff. And so we thought, I wonder, what's in store for this. And so we actually had a meeting with Pastor Nim and Pastor Abraham and Jolly. And before we went to that meeting, I was like, Lord, what have you got set before me? Because I want to say yes.
Yeah.
But what is it going to be? Because I might have to say no. And so, I kind of prayed on that for a while, ooh, hopefully it's something that I can already, manage or handle. And so, of course, you're thinking about all these things and plans that God has in store for you. And then when kind of the ask came forward, it was like, oh, okay, we need to talk about it, and we need to think about it for our family and for where we have a passion to serve. But then it became clear that we felt it was something we could do. And even though for me personally, like, I don't know, I'm kind of an introvert, but kind of an extrovert, but I'm not good at meeting new people. And so I was kind of, like worried, oh, I'm not great at talking with people. But I think every week that I serve, there is like God moments, and it's so awesome.
Wow.
And, we come to church on Sabbath morning, we get the church ready, and then one of the pastors that's preaching will have like a team huddle, and they'll share kind of an inspirational thought for the day and probably something that ties into the sermon. But every week, whatever they share, God provides an example of that. So it's rewarding.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, and it was kind of one of those things that the team didn't really exist before.
Yes.
And, there was I guess it was like a welcome desk and things like that, but nothing to put that experience for people who come through the church to just give them that, I want to say wow, not wow experience, but again, that I guess the opportunity to see God in a different way than just walking into a church, going to a pew, and walking out, right? We want to build that community. We want to build connections. That's what we're about. Every again, like Mel said, every week that we're on, I love being on First Impression. I meet so many new people. I wouldn't have met so many other people if we weren't on there. And I think being part of this large church, I think it's an important thing. And shameless plug for the First Impressions team. If you ever want to join, let us know.
There you go.
We're loving it.
But so I'm going to go back to just even serving in the church. I've been born and raised at Seventh-day Adventist, so I went to Aldergrove Church, which is now CIV, and I did what I was supposed to do. Right? You come to church, you sometimes open the tithe envelopes to draw.
That's actually so real.
That's real.
Right?
My best pieces of art was on that.
Through high school, again, we were always at church. It wasn't a negotiable thing. It was, hey, we're going to church. Like, okay, so you follow it, whatever. I got into high school, maybe around grade 12 is where, I had other friends that were serving in other churches and everything. And probably after grade 12, and when I graduated, is when I got to really serve in the church. So a couple friends of ours, we would always sing at Surrey Church. We would kind of be in that, asked to sing. We would, make rounds when we were heavily involved in being part of that church. I would be at Surrey Church. We also went to Creekside Church and Aldergrove Church. So I was kind of going between churches, but always kind of serving there. And so I think that servant heart has kind of always just been part of my upbringing, I guess. Not saying that I didn't. I'm not perfect, right? So, we're not perfect, but there was a time where at our other church that we were going to, I was helping with setup of the sound equipment, the pretty much opening the whole church and getting everything ready, and then we transitioned over to Aldergrove Church. Then we were on the music team. We were on the worship team. That was not really my thing at first, because I traditionally you go to church, you sing a hymn, you go up there, but the way that we're moving as a worship team as well, we really like dive into the lyrics and what they mean to you. But before that, it was just get up there and sing. Like I was one of those people that would sing with my hand in my pocket, right? And so, but anyways, we were on that worship team there. We had kids, and we served in kindergarten and all, like, and even here we were in the kids ministries as well. And so we've kind of always been in, like, serving in areas of the church. And then we got into the first impressions thing. So, again, long story short, I think Mel has also been serving. I mean, you can say whatever you're going to say, but in her experience, I think as well, we've always served in some aspect at church.
Well, I think what Josh is kind of probably, I think your experience is the same as mine, but I think for both of us, our parents have modeled servanthood throughout their, faith walk as well. So I think when your parents demonstrate for you being active in your church, it's only natural that that's what you want to do too, because it's what's been modeled for you. And so we continue to model that also for our children, right? So that they know that it's important to be part of a church because we want to serve God. We have a heart to serve God, but also the community that it creates, and also the impact that we have on people's lives that are coming into the church too, right? So those are all things that are important to us, and we've seen it, we do it, and now we're trying to pass that on as well to our kids.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say every Sabbath you guys never really go unnoticed, especially by me. I do praise a lot, as some of you guys know, as I said it so many times. But I think it's really interesting because as a worship leader, as a praise leader, I'm there to lead the congregation. And I think it's been said multiple times between us in the praise group. You guys help us lead the congregation, because if you don't know, Mel and Josh, they always sit and stand in the front. And when you're singing and when you can hear Josh and Mel just absolutely belting out, it helps so much with us in confidence, just singing, And it just helps, just us feel the music as well. And it's like, okay, this is working, And it's just, we bounce off that energy. And the other thing is for first impressions, at the end of every sermon, there's announcements, and we announce the welcome desk. And there's a photo of your sister, you, your kids, and they're smiling. And it's not just for the photo. You guys are, like, whenever I see you guys are always beaming and smiling. And, like, you guys cover that entire foyer, like, twice over every Sabbath. Yeah. It's just, it's cool to see. It's not just, like, you guys aren't just ticking a box. It seems like you guys actually really enjoy doing what you do. So it's inspirational for sure.
Yeah, and I also want to touch on that too, because like not only like your youngest one is literally involved as well too.
Yeah.
He's walking around with a little blue shirt, and I think that like for you guys obviously such a proud moment too, like just that is already like being radiated onto your kids. And then Wyatt, he's just a people person. Like he's just, if you don't know him, you probably do actually.
He's a natural born welcomer.
But no, that's beautiful to see, and just also like the way you guys are raising your kids. So yeah. I think I also like want to ask too, like since you guys are telling me that you guys have done this for all of your life, they're also like I feel like, because I know you guys through serving here at the worship team, and I think that's also why, because I'm very comfortable with you guys. And there is like a bit of like an age difference, which is there's nothing
Just a
to
little
be,
bit, just a little bit.
nothing,
even-
I'm
not
not
even
trying
like-
to say anything,
Almost nothing.
but just like the way I see it, service bonds us. Like, you know what I mean? How we are on this like deeper level, like, okay, like we're wanting to serve to those the way that we have been served. But I think that sometimes it can get like overwhelming, if that makes sense. So how do you guys like balance that as well? 'Cause you guys said you guys have been serving for a long time. How do you keep pushing to keep always like doing, what you do?
I think because you're constantly seeing God show up. Like, I'm not always at church because I work on call on Sabbath sometimes, and so the weeks when I'm not at church versus the weeks when I'm at church, it's a totally different week. Like, I want to be here. Like Josh said, like sometimes, okay, yeah, when you're younger, you might be doodling on a tithe thing. I was never allowed to do that, but like you don't always necessarily, maybe in your teenage years, have a heart to be at church. It's just kind of what you do or whatever. But I think as you mature and you grow in your relationship with Jesus, right? Like you want to be here, right? It's not just about this is what I do. This is what's familiar. It is, but it's familiar and it feels good, right? It's like coming home, right? Church is family, church is love, right? And so the weeks that I'm here, I'm happy, and I'm happy to be serving. Like sometimes it's nice to have a week off and get to sit in the front there in our seats or whatever. But God shows up every week that we serve, and so it's so worthwhile.
Wow, that's good.
And I think it was actually just in our last presenters class. I never really thought about it until it was brought up, but I think every week I kind of come into it like, how can I be a blessing to somebody? And when this person said it, I was just like, yeah, how can I? And I think that's what also drives me in that servant in being a servant to further God's kingdom is, how can I be that blessing? And being part of that, being out there, I think, again, like Mel said, God shows up and says, here's your opportunity, right? And it's looking for those opportunities and listening for those opportunities. Because let me tell you, out there gets really busy. But sometimes it's like you see somebody and like everything else goes kind of
Blurry.
blurry. And you're like, this is the person I need to talk to.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, God definitely puts that opportunity for us to go make that connection. And I mean, yeah, it could be that friendly conversation. That person could be going through a really bad day, or, but just being that friendly person, kind of, and opening up. I do my best to open up to new people, and maybe I overshare, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I think it's cool because I feel like I always have that slight itch when I see that person. Because what you said, like when you see a new person you haven't seen before, and then you kind of just like track them, and then everything else just fades away.
Yeah.
And you're like, for me at least, it's really like, do I go and say hello? And it's just, that's something that I want to do. I'd say I'm not great at it. I want to improve on that. Just because if you guys know Nathan Dauncey, you guys know Nathan Dauncey.
Yeah.
Nathan, he will see anyone, and he'll be like, new person. Oh, let's go.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah,
He's awesome
and
at it.
it's really inspirational. And so like I'm working on trying to do that. But honestly, sometimes it's really bad for me because I introduce myself to someone at the church. And like, oh, so are you new here? And it's like, I've been going here for 2 years. And I'm like, ooh.
I've done that many times as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
So there's a challenge, and I think it's always in the back of my mind, like I don't really want to do that because like Like, what if? Because I'm on stage, people
Yeah.
see me. I don't see the people just because I generally stick to like the people I know, and that's why I'm trying to like really just push myself. And I just really gotta kind of like 1, 2, 3, go it,
Yeah.
like, and once you start walking towards that person, either you say something or you don't, or else it just look kind of weird just beelining it to just someone. So
I was
yeah.
just going to say, even sometimes like having conversations with people, I'm like, it's not always smooth, right? It's
Yeah.
real,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so like sometimes I'm like, Lord, I don't even like know what to say right now, but help me say what the right thing is, because I
Yeah.
kind of got nothing, but I came over like I'm willing, right? I'm willing to engage and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, first impressions, I'd say it doesn't, it just does, it's not just you guys, I think it expands to everyone at our church. And that's why, like, I'm really trying, I want to try to do that. And I think that imagine if you're a new person, you come to church and you get greeted by like 50 different people, like that'd be probably unrealistic, but that'd be amazing, like at least 10 or even 5, because you'll see, I mean, even when you guys are in your blue shirts, you'll say hello to new people, I'm sure, but you get the people who are designated to say hello, and that's great. But beyond that, I feel like it'd be so much more real, to get a hello from someone who generally just wants to show you that you're welcome at CIV, because that's what we're all about, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. Yeah, I know you guys said that both of you guys were born and raised SDA. So was I. I believe that was you as well.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I made, Seventh-day Adventism my own religion until very recently. I'm going through that faith journey right now. When would you guys say, if you guys went through it, if you guys were in it the whole time, that's great. But if you guys really noted that, you're like, this is, I want to be here, this is not just an obligation for me. When would you guys say that was for you?
For me, I think it was that grade 12, and post high school. For me, I mean, I was going through the motions, right? But there was a friend group that I had that was really involved in activities, and just
She's laughing.
Like-
Why is she
Activities?
laughing?
well, I mean, activities at church. Okay.
Oh,
No.
I thought you meant the other
Okay,
activity.
no. Activities
Yeah.
at church. Being really involved. Like we were, it's the Sung family.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Daniel and I, like, we're two peas, right? We could not be separated. His parents were heavily involved in the youth at Surrey Church. And that's where I kind of fell into as well. I was going to other churches and we had Creekside and Aldergrove, but a lot of the time I actually fell into that Surrey Church group pretty much every Saturday, Friday night again singing, and Saturday night, like any youth event that was happening there, we were kind of involved in. And again, that family showed me as well, like they modeled that servanthood as well. So, I'm getting other families involved that have modeled what we should be doing. And I think in those years of that, in the youth, the young adults, like that's a key time, and it's really important, and you guys are in it as well, right? That I think really solidified me helping and being in the church. And so that's where I kind of found it, and made it my own instead of this is what we do every Saturday, right? And I really found joy in doing that and being with my friends that enjoyed to do that kind of stuff as well. And so, yeah, I would say grade 12 and after I graduated in that year was when I found mine.
Nice.
Well, that's funny because I wouldn't say grade 12. I would actually say university. And I didn't go to an Adventist university. I went to Trinity Western University. But I think that being, number one, in an atmosphere that was different from Fraser Valley, where you've been there from, grades 1 through 12, and kind of finally feeling like you're going out into the world. And just, I think, still being surrounded by a very Christian community, but also a community that was different than my Adventist community. And so, yeah, I think just, and also maturity, right? Just time to grow up and kind of turn into that adult and start thinking about why I do the things that I do. Do I just do them because I do them? Do I want to do them? Do I believe in what I do? All those kind of things, right? And being surrounded, I think, in that Christian university atmosphere was kind of when I, really. And then, over the years, right? Like, and I think it's human nature, but I think, things like go up and down,
Yeah.
right? And
Of course.
you become a parent and you're busy and it's like, not that you put God on the back burner, but suddenly there's so much more taking up your mind and your time. But I think that love never changes. And so, there's like moments like this, and hopefully you're just kind of riding that, uphill.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I'd say university.
Yeah, that's really pretty you guys are saying. Sorry, I'm trying to be as loud as I can. But that, like, your friends were involved. Because I'm also thinking about, like, me and our friends. Like, I always find, like, so much joy. Like, even last week, I was supposed to be on the worship team, but I got sick, unfortunately. But I was just so excited just to, like, go and serve and, like, sing with my friends. And I think just when you, like, come with people who are just, like, similar in that sense and you guys connect through, like, service is such a beautiful thing. And you're saying, like, you're, like, high school and, like, young adult, like, those are the ages where you really start to, like, set the tone, like, okay, what is it that I want to do, regardless if I'm, like, you're a nurse and, whatever our profession is, but, like, we come back on Saturday just to, serve for
Well,
yeah.
and I think like Josh was talking about, like having those youth things, how important that was, and having parents that weren't your parents, but I think adults that take a genuine interest in you and who you are, not just because, they have to, but because they want to and they care about you. So it's nice to see that also our church has, building that up with also you guys as our leaders. We appreciate the value that you see in our children.
Yeah. And both of you guys went to Fraser, right?
Yeah.
You said 1 to 12, right? And Josh?
1 to 12.
1 to 12 as well?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out Fraser. I guess we're all Fraser alumni here. That's, yeah.
We are.
How important would you guys say Adventist education for you guys growing up was to but help you guys become the people you are today? Because I know your kids are in Fraser right now. And so, obviously, something worked there for you guys to put your own children in that school. And so, how would you guys say that helped you in becoming the people you are today?
I loved school because that was in my more extrovert days.
Okay.
That was before I introverted. And so like, I loved school. School was super social. And with Fraser being so small, it's like a family, right? And I know when we had kids, we briefly considered going to one of the other Christian schools in the area. And actually, I had talked with the principal at that time, Kathy Domke, and I just kind of said, like, why do we want to send our kids to Fraser? And so I had a talk with her, and she convinced me, like, we'll try it out. And, Owen's in grade 9, so we've been there 9 years. We've got 3 kids enrolled there. And for me, the thing is, I feel like the teachers love our children. Yeah, so that's huge.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they care about their salvation and who they are. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's what you make of it as well. I think you get more opportunities to really evaluate your religion, or your beliefs, over I've had friends leave the church who have been in at Fraser Valley.
Yeah.
But again, I think it comes down to your relationship with God, and what you make of it. I love Fraser. We also coach, we
Yeah.
coach at Fraser Valley as well.
For sure.
And so I think having those opportunities are really important, especially for our kids too now. And they, again, like Mel said, they have teachers who care about them.
Yeah.
But I think the Adventist school, or Fraser Valley, and anyways for us, helped evaluate, just give me more opportunities to want to
Yeah.
serve, or
Yeah.
even just be in the church
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we're talking about connection, right? And with first impression, how we want to make sure that we make a connection with people. And I think that we're probably in a very disconnected society, right? We talk on our phones and we do all these things. And so I think when people take the time to get to know you and to spend time with you, it speaks volumes. It says that you're valuable, right? And so that's, I think, something that we get from Fraser, I think, is that we feel like our most precious earthly treasure, right, is valued. So
That's awesome.
Well, to wrap up here, the last question that we usually like to ask is, what would you tell yourself? Let's say if you were Owen's age, if you could go back in time.
Good question. I think it would be not to let your friend. It's tough because I wouldn't let your friends influence your belief. Because again, I had a bunch of friends that would we would party with them.
other activities.
These are the other activities. We'd party, but I felt like I was grounded. I knew what I wouldn't do and what I would. I knew that I wouldn't compromise on things. And so not letting that influence change who you are and what God intends you to be.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I would say be yourself, be you, and always be listening for the Holy Spirit. Just listen.
Wow. Yeah, that's really good. Well, thanks for sharing, guys. And it's always such a gift just to sit with the people of our church and get to know them and why they do what they do. So also, if you guys didn't know, like they mentioned before, First Impressions is always looking for people. So something that if you're a yapper, yappers unite, come to First Impressions. But yeah, thanks for sharing, guys. And don't forget, we have other episodes, so don't forget to check those ones out. But like we say here, don't forget to love God,
Love people.
And serve the world.
See you.
And always be kind.
And always be kind. Yeah. See you. Bye.
Bye.